Welcome to this mini Christmas special of the Spectrum Show. In this mini episode, I'll be playing some Christmas games, taking a look at the top 10 games that never made it, checking out some festive magazine covers, and generally rushing this one out for you lot to enjoy instead of the endless repeats on telly and playing charades with the family. So let's get on with it, the turkey's getting cold. There's nothing like a holiday to get companies worked up. Anything that means celebrations of some kind, especially when mixed with holidays and giving presents, means big money to the corporate suits. In the early days of the computer era, the crud they pushed out was terrible, and I covered many of those in a previous festive special. But here's some more. First, we have Special Delivery, released by Creative Sparks in 1984. This game has 4 stages, and to be honest, I quite liked all of them. Yes, a festive game that isn't awful. Well, apart from that music. Stage 1 and we control Santa, flying across the night sky collecting presents, dropped by his helpers. Although make sure you don't collect the ones dropped by the red helpers, because these will reduce your count. You have a target number to meet, and if you reach this you get on to Stage 2. If you fail to meet this, you jump straight to Stage 4, which we'll get to in a moment. Stage 2. And you've collected enough presents, you land the sled on the roof, and you've now got to climb down the chimney. There are 3 ladders, and Santa must switch between them to avoid the flames and large snowballs. If he manages to get to the bottom, it's on to Stage 3. Here, Santa has to deliver the present under the tree, avoid the people walking about, collect the key to get out again, and climb back on his sled. These stages loop until Santa fails to reach a target, which increases each level. Failure means he cannot visit the house, and instead has to drop the presents from the sky. Sounds a bit like some of the deliveries that end up at my house. The game has some nice scrolling and smooth movement, although the sprites are a bit basic. Sound is poor, and consists of various short blips to indicate collection of presents, dropping of presents, and walking around inside the house. Control is responsive, and as I said, I quite like this game. It's easy to play, and gradually gets harder, and it easily beats some of the awful dross the other companies were pushing out. Pity about the beeper tune though, it soon starts to grate on your ears. On to the next game, and Summer Santa, released by Alpha Omega Software in 1986. I'm not sure what that music is apart from bloody awful, so let's get into the game. Santa is yet again in the need of our help, and we must assist him delivering presents in this small platform game. What we have here is a typical left-right jump platform game, and a pretty bad one at that. Collecting a present is not too difficult. You first have to move the lever at the top, and then jump into the box to get the present. Make your way across and onto the next screen, and Instant death syndrome. How the hell are you supposed to get past those dogs? Let's try again. Nope, doesn't seem to be possible actually. Later on I found out that you can move right and get into another screen, and here you can jump over the dog and deposit the present, but I completely failed to get Santa back, and the collision detection was awful. The graphics are large and flickery and badly drawn. They move smoothly enough, I suppose, and control is mostly responsive. The sound effects are nice once you turn off that music, but the gameplay seems to be non-existent. That second screen, unless you know to move right, is nigh on impossible to do. Oh well, enough of this tat. Let's play something really good. This is Crim Blast, released by Dave Hughes in 2015. Yes, it's a festive shoot 'em up, and a good one too. Shoot things, avoid things, and collect a set number of items. On level 1, it's presents. There's some great music playing while you blast away and frantically dodge things. You can fire single small shots, which takes a few to destroy the aliens, or hold down the fire key for a more powerful one, but be careful, this can also destroy the things you're trying to collect. It's action all the way, with some great graphics, smooth movement and crisp control. Sound is used very well too, and this music really suits the action. Definitely one to take your frustrations out on. Well worth the download, and certainly recommended. For every game that made it to the shelf, there must have been 10 or 20 that never managed it, and this is my top 10 of games that we never saw. In at number 10 is Scooby-Doo. Elite Systems were making big waves about this game, boasting cartoon-style animation and complex plot lines. Months passed, and eventually they had to concede it would never be released. Instead, the license was used to produce a mediocre platform game. Bit of a disappointment there. At number 9 we have Airwolf from Ocean Software. With TV licenses the hot thing in 1984, many companies were fighting to get the best deals. Among them Ocean, who thought they had this biggie in the bag, and produced a full-page advert in several magazines. Unlucky for them, they were beaten to the license by Elite, and quietly pulled out the adverts. Elite's game was, shall we say, average at best, and we may never know what Ocean had planned. At number 8 we have Beaver Bob in Damn Trouble. This game was advertised by Gremlin Graphics, and even got Crash Magazine to hold a loading screen competition. There were screenshots too in the adverts, and alas, it never made it to release. So again, another one we'll never know what it was like. At number 7 we have Toki. Back to Ocean again for this 1991 much anticipated arcade conversion. Adverts were out, and previews even appeared in magazines, with some magazines even reviewing the game. Some of the screenshots looked to be quite good, but the game never saw the light of day. At number 6, we have Attack of the Mutant Zombie Flesh-Eating Chickens from Mars. Yes, it had to be in this list somewhere, the famous Matthew Smith game that never made it. Again, large adverts, but Matt vanished and the game, or at least something allegedly like it, was later released under the name Starpaws. At number 5 we have Bandersnatch. Imagine Software were famously working on 2 mega games, as they labelled them, just before they went into liquidation.
And this is it, Bandersnatch, the ultimate adventure game, which when it's finished, Imagine claim, will take you into a fantasy world.
They were heavily advertised in the press, and even appeared on the now infamous Commercial Breaks documentary. The game would be so advanced that it required an extra piece of hardware, but the cost of that put up the price. With the Imagine crash, the game never made it, and all we have is the Commercial Breaks program and a few bits and bats around the internet. At number 4 we have Minor Willy Meets the Taxman, also known as the Mega Tree. The third Minor Willy game had been rumoured since Jet Set Willy, with various stories in the press, and even quotes from software projects themselves indicating that we might see this game sometime soon, but it was not to be. The development discs came to light on eBay and were snapped up by Retro Gamer magazine, and the contents ranged from logos, sprites and hand-drawn images, all of which indicated a rather unusual and new style of game. Another one never to see the light of day. At number 3 we have Great Guyana Sisters. The Spectrum has long been shouting out for a Mario-style platform game, but with the hardware limitations making full-screen scrolling tricky, there are hardly any noteworthy efforts. Great Guyana Sisters appeared on other formats like the Amiga, and fans were ecstatic when it was advertised for the Sinclair machine, and it was even reviewed in Crash magazine. Fans were not the only ones who took notice though, and Nintendo quickly got in touch with their lawyers, and the game was withdrawn from sale, on all formats. The Spectrum version seems not to have been ready for release, but looked playable. Either that, or the magazines lied to us. At number 2 we have Solar Jetman. The third Jetman game appeared on the NES, and fans were waiting for the Spectrum release. The game was previewed in Crash, and even appeared on the cover, but it never made it. The game looked comparable to the NES version, and even the 64 version, which has recently been recovered, was in progress. Either that, or the magazines lied to us again. And at number 1, Mire Mare, the famous follow-up to Ultimate Play the Game's Underworld, and named in one of the exit screens from that game. There have been many rumours about this one. Some say it exists somewhere in the vaults of Rare, previously known as Ultimate, and was withheld because they were unhappy with the buyout from US Gold. Some even claim to have played it. Ultimate themselves say that only the game artwork was ever complete, but they would say that, wouldn't they? The game was previewed in Sinclair User, unless of course they lied to us. That was the top 10 games that never made it. If you want to attract buyers to magazines, you have to make the covers loud. They need to grab your attention and force you to buy them, rather than the numerous other options on the shelf. This is important throughout the year, but for consumer magazines, the magazine that's trying to sell you something via adverts, then Christmas is a hot time of the year. You would have thought that the publishers would have understood that, but let's take a look. Let's start with 1982. Top marks here for computer and video games, nice festive feel, and not losing what the magazine is about. Yes, we all get the Space Invaders theme there. But what is your computer doing? Is Santa really a fighter pilot? Popular Computing Weekly have also failed. Not a single mention of Christmas. Oh, hang on. Yes, they've added a festive border. I nearly missed that one. At least Sinclair User pick up the pace and give us a nice cheery cover, and a bumper issue as well. On to 1983. And Computer and Video Games continues with a great cover. But Computer Choice failed badly. Home Computing Weekly have just added a picture of Santa. And again, Popular Computing Weekly have added a nice border. Certainly attracts my attention, that border. Can't miss it. Personal Computer News gives us a comic cover, but you have to look closely to realise it's about Christmas. Sinclair Programs make an effort with a typical festive room, but Sinclair Projects has a major fail. Luckily, Sinclair User again do us proud with a really nice cover. Similar in some ways to Your Computer, who seem to have realised the potential. Alas, ZX Computing let us down again. 1984 brings us yet more magazines. Big K, the short-lived multi-format, gives us a nice cover, although I'm not too sure about Shooting Santa. Crash, well, crash into the scene and give us all a lesson on how to produce a brilliant cover. Computer and Video Games seems to have lost the plot though. But Home Computing Weekly provide a much nicer attempt than last year. Personal Computer News gives us a comic cover, and Personal Computer Games gives us very little. Popular Computing Weekly forget the banner this year, but do give us some holly at the bottom of the page. Sinclair Programs joins the party at last with a nice infinite cover idea. But Sinclair User just fails. Another new magazine, TV Gamer, they give us a sort of Cyber Santa robot. Your Computer completely forget about marketing, and for the festive season invite you to blow up a plane. Another new magazine, Your Spectrum, gives us a Scrooge cover. But we end with ZX Computing, who improved slightly from last year's effort. On to 1985, and Computer Gamer makes a complete mess of things. So do Computer and Video Games. So do Popular Computing Weekly. And Your Spectrum gives us Rambo. Yes, that's very festive. ZX Computing again dropped behind. Your Computer steps forward with their robot cover, but if you look closely you can spot the word Christmas. But the outright winner again is Crash, with yet another superb festive cover. We're already in 1986, and Computer Gamer may as well pack it all in. Computer and Video Games again fail to grab the idea of Christmas, unless of course you like David Bowie. And finally Popular Computing Weekly get it and sprinkle some seasonal joy. But Sinclair User swaps Santa for Tarzan. Your Computer opt for a comic cover, but at least it's festive. Unlike your Sinclair's offering. Or in fact ZX Computing. But back again we come to Crash to give them all a good spanking. On to the last year that we'll be looking at, 1987. Computer and Video Games have given up altogether. So have Sinclair User. But the January issue is a bit festive, I suppose. Your Computer goes for penguins, because nothing says Christmas like a flightless bird. And your Sinclair go for death and violence. I wonder which magazine we'll finish on to give us a cheery note. Yes, it's Crash. Another great cover. No wonder it was the top-selling Specky magazine. It's time for a welcome return to Type-In Corner, bringing you games not seen for over 30 years. This festive episode, I'll be typing out Santa's Grotto, a game written by I. Granger that first appeared in Popular Computing Weekly in December 1983. I typed this out myself a few days ago, and the original listing, which was about half a page in length, although worked, did have some things I needed to fix. Firstly, the nice intro message took ages because of the timings. I've changed these from 10 to 2 to make things a little less dull after the 20th time you've seen them. I've also changed the random placement of the presents. The original limited the placements to a 7x7 character square box, so I've changed this to space them out a little bit more. Feel free to put your own values in. On to the game then. You have to collect all of the presents guarded by Santa. In other words, you've got to steal them. Santa moves across the screen and you have to move your sled through the hole in the deadly wall, grab a present and get as many as you can in the time limit. If you grab 11, they form a bridge at the bottom of the screen and you can move on to the next level. As you can see, it's a typical typing game. Small graphics, limited sound and sometimes sticky control. It's playable though, and I can just picture myself as a young boy in front of the television on Christmas Day, typing this out for something to play. An average game then, and one that's not been seen since it was first published. Like all the other type-ins in the show, you can download it from my website and play it for yourself, or make changes to improve it. Talking of type-ins, and Bootlegger, who helped me with previous type-ins, has sent in this little one. Have a great time, eat plenty of pies, drink lots of beer, and I'll see you all next year. Thanks for watching.